In the late 1800s, it was just common for people to reload their own shotgun shells and own ammunition in general. These tools are typical of the era. This machine here is to produce a roll crimp on paper case cartridges. I won't do it on this one, but you insert it in here, then you crank, and it produces that rollover that seals the top card in. We won't be using that. This is a powder measure and scoop that's adjustable. Seen its better days and it's ready for retirement. This is a guide to funnel to drop stuff into the hull and push your wads in without catching on the edge of the case. I won't be using that today. I might use this rammer a little bit. I will be using this tool. It's a capping tool used to push primers in. People loading brass cartridges tend to think, well, it's inadequate to use large pistol primers, but they work quite well with black powder, and really no need to convert these out to shotgun primers unless you just for convenience of loading on a machine or something. But we're loading manual like I'm doing. It really no advantage to using shotgun primers that I know of. This little tool works by dropping the case in here. It's a little awkward trying to show it under here, and roughly dropping in the primer. By the way, these are Magtech brass. I shot them one time and checked the dimensions, but it didn't expand any. I won't be using this again. I'll retire it. It's a kind of display. We've got a modern equivalent to it. This is a Lee adjustable scoop that basically emulates what that does. And I don't know how available these are. I picked this up at Kraft and Sons. It allows you to expand it out to how many grams actually, or how many grains. I'll use this for my shot. I'm going to use a load of 1 ounce of reclaimed shot. I'm loading what's called a square load, using maybe just slightly less. I'm using this Lee scoop of 3.4 cc's and powder. And the powder I'm using is BlackMZ substitute. Actually, it burns really nice and clean and doesn't cause some of the corrosion problems of real black powder. And actually, I got it cheaper than real black powder by buying it from Sportsman's Warehouse. That's what we'll be using. And the old timers talked about a square load. This is a 1 ounce of shot, and whatever amount that 3.4 cc dipper made, probably about 2 grams. And that's what's called a square load. And there's really no purpose in adding more powder than volume of shot, because it'll just typically blow holes in the patterns and really won't produce any better ballistics. You can go more shot and usually have a nicer, tighter pattern. But for cowboy action shooting, 1 ounce is plenty. Obviously, you don't put the powder in a cup. The one variation I'm trying out, obviously the old timers use a fiber wad. I have fiber wads for these, but I have found that using a 10 gauge wad of BPI just nicely slides into the case, into the hull, and they're made up for obviously more than 1 ounce, but I'll show you how I buffer that here in a little bit. This is the wads I'm using. I've got them from Midway, but I looked it up recently and they're discontinued, so you may have to find some substitute. I think there's other ones that make 10 gauge wads this size if you want to try that. So anyway, the procedure is just take your hole, drop in the powder, drop in the wad, and I don't put a lot of pressure on it. That roll off the chair over there. And that's the wad down in there a good little distance. 1 ounce of shot. And I forgot my secret ingredient. It's right behind me. Probably need to get a wider shot of this, but it's basically Polish peanuts. They're biodegradable. Rent a U-Haul trailers, they'll usually have packing materials, and a huge bag of them for $5. And they're made out of like extruded soybean or corn starch, and you can actually eat them, they say. The top card, I'm using something a little different. I'm using a 10 gauge top card. Now the reason I'm upsizing the components here from 12 gauge, again this is 12 gauge shells, is that the walls on these brass cases are much thinner than the comparable plastic hulls. Now I'll use Duco cement, and I'm going to bead around there, but I've shot these without any glue, and they've stayed in fine and worked. So, then dump in the powder. Get another wad here somewhere. There it is. Drop in a wad. Must have a little funnel or something probably. Typically I'd do this in batch. I'd put all the powder in and all the wads, and then all the shot and top card material. That's about it.